Let's talk about a skill that could literally change how you experience every single conversation you have from now on.
Okay, let's just get it out there. It's a simple, maybe uncomfortable truth. Everybody lies. It's just a part of how we all interact, every single day. And get this, some studies suggest that you could be lied to up to 200 times in just one day. The wild part, most of them just fly right under the radar.
But what if that changed? What if you could spot them? What if you could see the signs clear as day?
Well, the thing is, you can. And no, we're not talking about some kind of magic trick here. This is about proven behavioral analysis, the very same stuff used by the world's best investigators. All right, let's dive in. But first things first, we have to completely smash the biggest myth about spotting a lie. You know, the one Hollywood has sold us for years? We've all heard it a million times, right? If someone isn't making eye contact, they must be lying. It's become this universal sign of dishonesty. But here's the kicker. It's completely wrong. In fact, the truth is pretty much the exact opposite. An honest person often looks away because they're trying to access their memory and pull out a fact. But a liar, they'll often stare you down. They're locking eyes with you to see if you're actually buying what they're selling. They're watching your reaction. So with that myth busted, let's get to step one. To find the lie, you first have to find their truth. It all starts with just a little bit of observation. You need to figure out someone's baseline, which is really just a fancy way of saying their normal state. How do they act when they're totally calm and there's zero pressure? How do they sit? How fast do they talk? You have to know what's normal for them before you can ever spot what's abnormal. And this right here, this is the absolute core of this whole method. You are not looking for a single lying behavior. You're looking for a change, a sudden shift away from their normal baseline. When you see that sudden change happen right after you ask a tough question, bam, that's what investigators call a hotspot. It's your first big clue. But hold on a second. One hotspot isn't proof of anything. Anyone can get nervous for a totally innocent reason. That's why the pros use a very specific rule to make sure they're accurate. It's called the cluster rule. What you're looking for is a group, a cluster, of at least 3 of these behavioral changes, all happening within about 5 seconds. That's when you can be pretty confident you're seeing deception. And here are 3 of the most common subconscious cues to look for in that cluster. Lip compression. That's when their brain is literally telling their mouth to shut up. Then there's pacifying behaviors, like touching the neck. That's an attempt to soothe themselves under stress. And the turtle effect, where their shoulders rise up, that's just a primal instinct to protect themselves when they feel attacked. So now you know what to look for. It's time for the final step, how to actually trigger the lie and make it surface. You ask a very direct question, one that pretty much needs a simple yes or no. And then you just go silent. You wait. And you watch and listen in that critical 5-second window. A truthful person will probably just answer you directly. Simple, no. But a deceptive person will often stall for time. They'll deflect, maybe even attack you for asking the question. They'll do anything to avoid that direct answer. Another huge verbal clue to listen for is something called distancing language. It's a subconscious trick liars use to create a little space between themselves and the story they're telling. For example, instead of using someone's name, they might say something vague like that woman or that person. It creates this psychological buffer zone between them and the lie itself. And just like that, you've got the whole framework. Seriously, this isn't just some party trick. It's like getting a new lens to see the world and understand people on a totally different level. So just remember this simple toolkit. 1, establish their baseline. 2, look for a cluster of 3 or more signs. And 3, never forget that the lie is always revealed in the change from their normal behavior. But just a word of caution here. This is a powerful tool, and sometimes you might uncover truths you weren't quite prepared for. So try to use it to understand, not just to accuse. It's a fascinating skill to have. So the question is, now that you know, what are you going to do with it?